Okay. Revelation 6, chapter 6, verse 11. Uh, we start breaking into one of the largest theories concerning the book of Revelation. And I'm going to have to go from the way that I see it. It's been kind of an interesting study to do with my men's class because we don't have everybody who sees it the same way. And I'm very blessed with my men's class that they can discuss things without getting hot-headed or anything, and they can, for the most part, really talk and joke about some of this stuff while still remaining serious for the most part. So it's been kind of interesting with that. But I have to go from where I see it and explain it the way I see it because that's how I see it. So verse 11 says, "And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled." This is the main verse, in my opinion, that I believe points out to Christian churches still being present at this time. And I want to explain why, because there's a lot of really specific words used here that we lose when we come to the English. So these people are given bright, brilliant white robes, and they are told to rest. Now, to rest means to give or experience rest after the needed task is completed, or to pause after a completed work. So they are given a brilliant white robe, which we have seen back with the letters to the 7 churches. They are told to rest or pause because their needed task of standing for the truth is completed, and they did not need to worry about the judgment. The word season is one that is misunderstood in modern language. There's a lot of that happening, if you've noticed, when you get into Revelations. It is not a quarter of the year like we think of with spring to summer, but rather the word here is to rest for a particular time. So they are told to rest until that particular time has expired. They are then told what that specific time is. And this is where we get into some specific words here. He says, "Until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were." There are 2 reasons in this that I believe we're going to be here during this time, unfortunately. I really don't want to be here when that happens, but these 2 words, I cannot find anybody that has been able to explain it to where it's not. The word for fellow servant is sundolus, which is properly a fellow bond servant belonging to the same master. And brethren is adelphos, meaning a member of the same religious community. So whether you want to argue whether these martyrs are Christians, Jews, or a mixture of both, we get the same resulting idea. They are the same religious community. So if these souls are Jews, then then this is being addressed to Jews. If they're all Christians, then they are all Christians. If it's a mixture of both, then it refers to one of those 2 groups. But then you get the word adelphos, which is, not adelphos, sundolus, which is belonging to the same master, but they're not part of the same religious group. That would mean if you're talking to Jews, that would refer to Christians. If you're talking to Christians, you're referring to Jews. I have heard, before I get into that, no matter how you slice it, these souls are clearly told that there are 2 groups of people, one belonging to the same religious group and another who serves the same master. But when I did find one person who tried to explain it this way: just because you serve the same master, but you're not part of the Christians, doesn't make you a Jew. that's when you start getting into a very slippery slope. For example, I was reading some of the beliefs of C.S. Lewis because I love C.S. Lewis's works. But when I was listening to his Screw Tape Letters, now that I'm older and have had time to look more, I was like, something doesn't jive with this. And in it, he believed that you could lose your salvation, which that's a whole nother topic, and one that I believe we've already touched on with some of these videos. But another one of his thoughts was you could be saved by following the good tenets of a different religion. So like if you were a Buddhist, but you followed the Buddhist tenets that were aligned with that of the Christians, then you would still be saved. We are told, I am the way, the truth, the light. No man cometh to the Father but by me. There is no other way. There is no alternative. You have to believe that one way. And so to say that you can be of a religious community that serves the same master without being either a Jew or a Christian, which the Christian term was used of Gentiles, that means there's a third group that can serve God and be saved by some other method. That doesn't really jive with the other teachings of the Bible. So I don't see where they get that from. I wish they could explain it a little bit more in depth. Perhaps one day they will be able to clarify for me what they mean by that. But same religious community, if you're Christian, that's a Christian, and another that serves the same master, that would be the Jew, because you've just got Jews and Gentiles. If you say it's talking to the Jews, then same religious community is a Jew, and then the others who serve the same master would be the Christians or the Gentiles. So you've got to have both companies present at this time. And since we are now on the fifth seal, I'm going to go ahead and add fifth seal to our time frame here. And we know it has to be in progression. Since the first seal occurs somewhere in the first half, and this has to occur after that first seal, we can't say that we're gone at the beginning like the pre-tribulations believe, although I sincerely hope they're right, because when you look at all the stuff that's going on, I really don't want to be here. And I mean that in all seriousness. This is going to be an absolutely horrible time. This part right here where it's going to be peaceful is going to be awesome, I think, but this half, not so much. I've got some relatives that believe mid-tribulation, which would put it at the halfway mark. That's when the abomination stands up and all this begins. But again, we have the fifth seal, which has to occur after the second seal, which has to happen at the middle, so it can't be at the middle. And so I have to say that based off of everything logically that is pointed out to us here, and we'll see more evidence later in the book of Revelations and in other books, we got to go through this. And it's going to be a nightmare. And even if we do get fortunate and somehow this is all misinterpreted and we do get to go at the beginning, be prepared, because the show looks like we're going to be here. We'll pick up next time with the sixth seal, which is going to get very intriguing in some ways.